Hi guys, and welcome to Armoured Warfare. And yeah, I know I've got no intro for this at the moment, but there's no replay system on it yet. Hopefully they will bring one. That's one of the things I'd like to see added to the game. Hopefully we will do. And yeah, just trying to figure out sort of how and sort of what to do for an intro. But I thought I'd bring you a quick video on it anyway. And again, kind of trying to figure out how to do these videos as well. But this was a fairly interesting match. It's a global ops PvP. I think I mentioned those the other day in the sort of first look video, and this is the one where you're against you know, actual players on the other team, but both teams also have AI tanks as well, and you know if they're an AI one because they come up with, well, they don't have a player name above them for a start, but they're always called sort of superior or fragile or whatever, like fragile bulldog, you know, that sort of thing. Well, fragile M41, that sort of thing. And these are the ones that well, as a, you know, just a sort of a quick rundown, you have changing objectives and conditions as well towards the end of this one. This is Desert Crossing. You get a sandstorm that comes in that limits your view range by 50%. Now again, I can't, you know, I don't know enough about this game to sort of go on about the tanks or anything like that as of yet. I am learning. I'm in my M60A3, which is a tier 5 main battle tank, and you can see on well, on my tank indicator down in the left, you can see in fact one of the panels just flashed up on the front and disappeared. I've upgraded this because you can actually, once you get to around about tier, I don't know if you can put it on the tier 3, I think you can put it on the tier 4, the M60A1. And the same in the other lines as well. You get different armour packages that you can actually put on your tank in the upgrades. So whereas in the upgrades you don't upgrade your gun or anything, you just unlock new ammunition, unlock a, you know, like a rangefinder and your muzzle breach, that sort of thing that allows you to reload quicker in the upgrades. Some of them have armour packs, and this has an early, what it calls early rise ERA pack, explosive reactive armour. And for those of you who don't know, you see those panels on the side of my turret, and you can see one on the front of my hull there as it turned, and there was one blown out. They are, well, exactly what they are, explosive reactive panels. And they give you sort of nominal protection against armour piercing ammunition, but they give you a few 100mm of protection versus heat ammunition. And heat ammunition, as opposed to in World of Tanks, so ignore what you know about ammunition in World of Tanks, just throw it out the window. It's completely different in this. And yeah, he's just popped smoke to get away. I've also skipped the respawns, by the way, on this, and I'm just going to sort of go on about it, and I'm going to try and do a sort of, you know, tips video on this when I've learned about it a bit more fully myself. Your circles on the map, by the way, your white one or the inner circle seems to be view range, and the outer one seems to be your detectability range, so when you can be detected. But I could be wrong on that. Anybody that's played this on the PC watching this that knows a bit more about that, just if you can confirm or sort of or say otherwise in the comments, that would be appreciated. But yeah, the ammunition is very different on this. Obviously you don't have premium or gold ammunition, whatever you want to call it, from World of Tanks, where, you know, it doesn't really matter what ammo you fire at whatever tank, you just fire whatever's got, you know, the best chance of penning that tank, sort of thing. This is very different. You've got your armour piercing types of ammunition, armour piercing discarding Sabo, armour piercing fin stabilised discarding Sabo, and various others. You have your high explosive ammunition and variations of, you know, you've got your HE, you've got your high explosive plastic, which is what I've got on this. Some of the British tanks, well, the, you know, the mercenary lines, but the British tanks like the Chieftains and whatever, you have HESH, you know, high explosive squash head, which, you know, people playing World of Tanks will know about HESH. And then you have your shaped charge ammunition, one of which is heat. I believe the ATGMs, the anti-tank guided missiles, are also shaped charges. And it does determine what you sort of, the armour of the vehicle that you're shooting at determines what you shoot at it. And you know, from what I've picked up already, and since I've sort of figured out the ammo, I've been having much better games. Now, explosive reactive armour, so I did sort of digress again, and I will get back to the ammunition in a moment. when a shape charge is fired at the tank and it hits one of those panels, the panel basically explodes and negates that shell. But then the panel is expended, so another shape charge hit on that same location will, you know, pen and do damage. So your heat are what generally do the most damage out of your ammunition. So in general, you want to be firing heat at everything. You saw that guy there, that Sheridan, had explosive reactive armor on the side of his turret. Some tanks possibly later on have it on already. You also get pleak armor and things like that, and variations. And there's also composite armor. Now, composite armor also negates heat. Heat can't really get through composite armor as well. So it's learning what tanks have what, and it doesn't really sort of become an issue until around. And again, you know, take some of this with a pinch of salt because I'm still learning this game. But it doesn't really seem to become much of an issue until around tier 5, which is when you start seeing some of the Russian, well, what we know as Russian mediums, but Russian MBTs, T-72s and things like that have composite armor on the front. You know, that's when it sort of starts to sort of really come into effect. So below that, you can just, if you've got heat, fire heat at just about everything, because like I say, it does the most damage. But if you come up against something with explosive reactive armor or composite armor on the front, then you need to switch to your armor piercing ammunition, which will do a bit less damage, but it's going to get through that ERA armor, or it's going to get through that composite armor. Obviously, if you've got enough penetration. Now, the reason you don't fire heat at things like light tanks. Now, this is something that I was shooting. I was just using APCR at everything. APCR, that's Wheel the Tanks again. Armor piercing at everything, and there were some tanks I was hitting light tanks, and it was saying overmatching. It does give you quite a bit of information actually when you hit tanks, and yeah, it came up with overmatch, and I thought, oh, you know, that's good. I've overmatched the armor. Obviously, overmatched the angle was what I had in my mind from World of Tanks. That's what we talk about when we talk about overmatching in World of Tanks. The fact that your shell has overmatched the angle of the armor and gone straight through anyway. However, in this, it's a bit different. So when you're shooting at light tanks, say from the side, and they've got very, very thin armor, and you're using armor piercing, your armor piercing has too much penetration. So if you shoot at one and it comes up overmatch, what it basically means is that it's gone through one side of the tank, out the other, and done minimal damage. So that's why you want to be firing heat at sort of light tanks and the lightly armoured vehicles, because it sort of I think it gets, you might even get bonus damage against them, and I think it does bonus module damage as well, although that could be the HE. Again, I'm just sort of figuring it out. But yeah, so if you've got heat, that's what you want to be using against everything, unless they have composite armor on the front or they have ERA on it. Now, ERA and a pleak I think is easy enough to spot because it's panels, generally on the outside of the vehicle. Composite armor, when the hull is made of it, that's a bit more difficult, because you know, you just got to know which tank it is. Generally, at the moment, if I see something like a T-72 or something like that, anything sort of that Russian MBT kind of thing, that's sort of tier 5 or above, it's pretty safe to assume it's got composite armor on the front. And also, if you're aiming at them with heat, it will just show as a sort of no pen for the front, so you know, you've got to try and go for somewhere else. But yeah, that's kind of, like I say, how the ammunition works in this, and it does work a bit differently, which I kind of like. There are still some issues with this game. Oh, that was very, very close. One of which, I mean, a lot of them I'm assuming are going to get sorted out with various updates and everything else. Don't forget, this is still pre-release until next week, sort of early access, should I say, until next week. And from what some people were saying in some of the comments, this is essentially how the game was on the PC when it first came out. So there's a lot of updates to go, but the controls are my sort of main thing really at the moment. The rest of it, I'm not, I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to be too critical, because like I say, it's still new. There's still lots of updates to go. You remember what World of Tanks was like when that first came out, so it's just one of those things, and we'll have to see how it goes. Now, The other thing as well that I've noticed about this is that whereas on World of Tanks, you know, you can shoot commander's hatches and they're weak spots and you'll do, you know, you hit the commander's hatch and pen, you'll do a lot of damage. Yeah, it doesn't happen in this. It's a bit more realistic that way. Obviously, in real life, the only thing that happened there is the commander's hatch get blown off and it's only if shrapnel and everything fires down into the tank that actually damage will be done. So, on this, I have noticed, and I, you know, I was guilty of it myself at first few matches, but then I realised it was doing nothing. On this, commander's hatches are just sort of classed as external modules, so you might hit, you may pen, and you may do very, very minimal damage. I mean, like 20s, you know, that sort of thing. Very minimal damage. And at the very best, you might just knock out the viewports, which will limit the view range a little bit. So yeah, it's not a case of, you know, going for the commander's hatches or anything. It doesn't work on this. You've got to try and go for the main shots. If you can get through the front of the turret, put it through the front of the turret, otherwise go for the hull, try and go for engine compartments, that sort of thing, or even crew compartments at the beginning, at the front of the tank, generally. Driver's hatch, that sort of thing. So yeah, don't bother going for commander's hatches, it's pretty pointless. And that's it really. I mean, I've not really spoken about much about what I've been doing in game so far, but it's just, like I say, you know, a few tips on what I've picked up so far. So you can see I've got the heat loaded again. There are some features I really like about this. The fact that you can make a tech tree tank kind of like a half premium, so you pay an amount of gold, and I think the premiums on this, they all seem to earn a set percentage, so which is like 50% I think extra credits or something, and so many percent extra reputation, which is your experience. And if you pay for a tech tree tank, it basically earns half of that, so it's like a half premium. You can rent premium tanks as well, you don't have to buy them, you can rent them for periods of time. It's fairly cheap, or it seems to be at the moment, so you can rent them for I think 7 days. Or is it? Yeah, I can't remember. You can rent them for various different things, up to about a month, or you can just buy them. So, you know, that's a nice feature. You can see on the information panel down in the bottom left, there's a bar at the bottom which keeps going up and down with a little eye on the very left. That is an active camouflage bar. So as you can see, when I stop, it starts to fill up. If I went into bushes or behind bushes, it would fill up even more, but that is an actual active sort of camouflage rating of your tank. And I'm not quite sure how much each segment actually equates to, but I'm assuming that obviously your outer circle is your, like I said before, I'm assuming that's your detectability circle. So at the moment, with that being minimum, I would assume that I would be detectable at the extreme of my detectability circle, and as it fills up, obviously, it has an effect on tanks trying to spot you. But again, something I'm sort of getting used to. But yeah, there are definitely some nice features in this game, and I'm quite looking forward to seeing what they do with it and see where it goes. And I have been enjoying playing it, although it would be nice to have a few more players playing the standard battles, because I've not actually been able to get into one yet. PvE, to be honest, I've not even done any PvE for a while. I've just been doing the Global Ops PvP, because you earn way more experience and money doing this than you do in the PvE, way more. So yeah, I've just been doing this, but I would like to get into some actual standard battles to have a mess about in there and see what that's like. So they are basically the same as the standard battles in World of Tanks, 15 on 15. And there's 2 bases. You either capture the base or kill the other team to win. So I would be quite interested to have a look at that. But again, that's something that, it's early release. There's not going to be as many people playing this. It comes out next week, so fingers crossed by the end of next week I might have been able to get into that and have a good go at it. But yeah, like I say, I'm enjoying it. It's different to World of Tanks. It's a nice break. I've not stopped playing World of Tanks. I've still been going on it and what have you. I will be doing a World of Tanks video today on the new premium Chinese TD. But I have enjoyed playing a bit of this. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see where it goes and see sort of what direction it goes in. And I can't wait to actually get into the standard battles and for it to build up a bit of a bigger player base, which I'm assuming will happen, after general release. but it's definitely got the basics of a good game, and we'll just have to see where it goes from there, really. But yeah, that's well, there you go. Just sort of rambled over all that match. Hopefully, anybody that's trying this out and hasn't quite figured out the ammo yet, maybe my tips and advice, a bit random as they were, will help you out with that as well. But yeah, that's the M60A3. I did see a comment about somebody. I think you were wanting me to do an M1 Abrams sort of grind or video, which I'm doing anyway. And in fact, the M1 Abrams is the next tank in the line, which I'm just trying to grind out the last bit of money in XP for. But after that match, I think that was quite good. I did get a gold medal, so I came top on our team, so it can't have been that bad. But I've not really got a frame of reference yet, so I think I did alright in that match. Well, I must have done alright, like I say, because I came top. But yeah, I'm just trying to get to the M1 Abrams now, which is the tank after this, and then the A1 Abrams, which I hate coming up against because you just can't pen the damn things from the front. You've got to get around them. But yeah, there you go. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that. Like I said, I'll be back later on with the World of Tanks video. I will be doing more Armoured Warfare videos, and hopefully with an intro and more information as I sort of figure it out a bit more. But anyway, until next time, take care of that. I'll catch you next time. See you later.